This is where it's going to get exciting, because last time round we cast on across the back for the width to do what you can see, a drop shoulder construction here, where drop shoulder, where the shoulder is obviously all the way down here. So it literally does what it says on the tin. It drops off the edge of your shoulders. So we cast on the back, we did some short rows, and then you knit straight down to the underarm. What we're doing this time round is at the front, so there's a little bit more going on because we're shaping it. So I've had something interesting happen at the end of the last one, where I took an older swatch and I was fairly sure I remembered what the needle size was, and I went ahead and used that gauge. The gauge that I get with the very long rows happened the very same as did with the first one, is it went a lot wider. Now it meant that it's ended up the same width as this, which I have no problem with. What I do want to change though is I didn't want the neck as wide. So as a result, what I've decided to do is I've taken the place that I had marked the two shoulders for the back where the neck would be. I'm going to move 4 stitches in on each side. So it's going to make a narrower neck than would be otherwise indicated from the stitches I'd picked up and things. So you'll see, I'm going to show you how we work that, how you can count in those 4 stitches and what difference it would be. Next thing we've done is you're going to figure out how deep this is. With this, the first part here, you're doing short rows back and forth, so it slopes a little bit and brings it down a small bit. And then you can go a certain amount straight if you want a deeper scoop like this, or you can go straight into those increases. This time round, I've opted to, after the short rows, jump straight into those increases for the neck. And the reason for that is because I didn't want it too deep at the front. I'm showing you how you can actually figure out the shaping of the neck yourself. So I'm going to pull out the actual knitted graph paper that I've used, how I can draw it in, and then estimate how often you can do those increases. We'll take a look at the kind of increases you can use, whether you're going to have them right leaning or left leaning, how far in you can step them, and what that will do or how it will impact. And these are all decisions you get to make. You can decide, what do I want it to look like? How obvious or how subtle do I want those increases? How deep do I want the neckline? These are all in your power now, because this is your sweater. So come on in and I'll show you what I've done, and you can let me know what you're going to do with yours. I've been working along on the back of my Stash Dive sweater, and I've now reached, when I go to the side here, so this section here, from uncurled, where you might have to pin to do it, from here up to here, that's measuring 7.5 inches. Now I'm actually going to write that down over here for myself, because otherwise I will forget. So that's measuring 7.5 inches. I have to be very careful not to measure in the middle, because that will obviously be deeper, because we had all of those short rows. So what I'm going to do now is we will be flipping around and picking up stitches along each side of the shoulder. So for the front, what we're going to do is, let me turn this around, move this out of the way. For the front here, we're going to be picking up stitches from side of the marker here over to the edge, the number of stitches we want for one shoulder, and we'll do the same over on this side. Now originally I had my shoulders where I had a slightly wider, where's my second marker? I had a slightly wider neck here because my gauge grew. So I thought my gauge was originally 5.5, but I'm checking and it's now at 18.5. So really big difference. So I've actually got closer to a 26 inches wide at this point, but I don't want my neck wider. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move 4 stitches over here and 4 stitches over here, which will then give me a slightly wider shoulder here and a slightly wider shoulder along here. I'm going to be working, I'm actually, so that I don't, so because I want the short rows to match in the front and the back, I will start the first short row a few more steps over, because remember the first one, I must go back and look at my records. I had done maybe, I think, 4 stitches over and then gone ahead to work further after that. So I'm going to add the extra stitches I had and then move over and start doing the short rows after that. So that's kind of, I suppose, giving you an overview of how I'm going to change it and how It's important to check your gauge as you're going along so that if you do have those changes, you've got plenty of time to recover, because I don't mind this being longer because these will just slide off the side of my shoulders. What I do care about is I don't want the neck too wide. So bringing it in 4 stitches on each side is going to make a really big difference for me. The next thing we'll take a look at is how you shape the front of the neck. I have been sketching up my neck now to get a feel visually for how I want to shape it. So what I did, I started off here first of all with what's known as knitting graph paper. So you can just go ahead and search online for knitting graph paper, and then you can put in approximately the size of your stitch. So you can see how my stitch is wider than it is tall, and that means that when I sketch out what a neck is going to look like, it's going to be as close as possible to what it should be. Because if you've got square, you're not going to be able to draw in a curve. I'm a big believer in visually drawing stuff out because it makes it a lot easier to actually see what's happening and to make sure that you've taken account of what it's going to look like. So we've changed the neck width. Originally, on the very first sample I had here, where I put the markers in, I had 44 stitches across here. But if I'm going to take 4 stitches out each side, it means I've now got 36 stitches. So that's what I've drawn here. I've drawn 36 stitches. I just counted out each of those stitches across. Now I want to do a nice curve of a neck. Oh, that's not what I want. I want to do a nice curve of a neck like this. And the way I usually do that is I'll take about 1/3 of it that's in the middle, so 12 stitches, 1/3 over here, which is 12, and 12 over here. And then I just drew in this curve. Once I've got that in, I'm approximating things. You can see, look, I've got 1 step here, step here, step here. So you're in order to get a nice curve, you're going to have those steps very close together, and then they start moving further apart. So I've actually just went and counted them out. So this would actually be where it's starting here, because of course you're actually going to be going this side down. So it starts with 1 step out and the right side row, an increase, another increase, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see, so the 6 increases for this that are every right side row. And then when it gets closer together, I've got the next 6 that are going to be right side and wrong side row. And this middle section here with those 12 stitches will be my cast on across the front. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go and pick up stitches. I'm going to start first of all on the left front. So I will pick up the number of stitches I need across here, and then I will start doing the short row, same as before. So originally we had 38 stitches across here, but I'm going to add another 4 on. So I'm going to go and pick up 42 stitches. And then the first one was 5 stitches, so 5 stitches, and then I'm going to add an extra 4 stitches and do my first short row, turn back to here, and then keep going like that, adding 5 stitches each time until I've reached the end, so that I'll be matching the short rows on the other side. And then I'm going to start doing increases. So I'll go ahead and I'll show you how to pick up the stitches. Short rows are going to be the very same. And then what you're going to be doing here with the increases, I'll do with you for the neck. Then you'll finish that side, set it aside, and come over and do the very same thing over on the second side here. And then once that side increases are finished, you can cast on across the front, join them up, and you're going to be just doing the very same as you did for the back, just knitting straight down to the same length. So that's what we're going to go do. I'll break my yarn here, I'll pop these onto waste yarn, and then we're ready to go. I've put all of those I've put all of these stitches we were working on onto waste yarn down here now, so that they're all free, and I've got my needle back so I can use it. So I am with the right side of this facing, I'm starting on the left shoulder here. So this is where my marker was here. So I've counted 4 stitches over, 1, 2, 3, and in 4. So you see I actually stick it right into it. I'm going to grab my working yarn here. This is how I pick up and knit stitches. It's very easy when you've got 1 for 1, because your stitches are all right there. So you're just going right through the work. See, right through it here. I'm going to grab the tail, give yourself a nice long tail so that you can easily have something to weave in if you need. So you pull that through, nice and snug. I think I've snagged something there. It feels like it's caught. I'm going to try that again. Yeah, because I caught some of the linen. That happens sometimes with linen because there's a lot of different strands. So that one's better. I can see it's free. So that's into the first stitch. I'm going to go over here into the next one. Wrap it through. I'm holding on to the tail for the moment because otherwise it's going to pull through. So you're going into the kind of pretty much the top of each stitch as you work across and into the number 4 here. So now I'm back where the first stitch that I had originally want is now located here. So at this point I'm going to go keep picking up stitches one for one all the way across until I've got what I'll have for my size. I'm going to have 42 stitches worked all the way across. Then I'll come back, work the wrong side row all the way across, and you can see what I'll be doing then is just doing the short row is going to slope this way. So I'm going to go for the first, take those 4 stitches, then another 5 and turn, come back, do the 5 stitches, work the double stitches 1, add another 5 and keep going back and forth. So when I've got those finished, I'll come back and I'll do the increases with you. I'm going to start my neck increases immediately after I do the short rows because I don't want it too deep. But this is somewhere you can add a lot of modifications in yourself. You can go ahead and add a couple of rows after the short rows to make it straight, which will give you a little bit more of a scoop in the front. That's completely up to you and what you want it to look like in the end. But for now, let's get started on those short rows. So I have reached on the left front here a point where I finished all of those short rows. This was where I picked up my stitches along there, and here is the little triangle. So this is the same width at the side here where you've got the armhole, and this is the extra height you have at the neck. Now I'm going to leave it at this in terms of the depth of the neck because I want it fairly shallow, not too open here. If you want a bigger scoop, just work several rows straight at this point. So what I'm going to start doing now is increases along here to shape it to lean to the right. Now you've got a few different choices. If you want it very subtle, you can keep it where you have it fairly close to the edge and it's going to kind of blend in with the edge of the work. I might do it having it a little bit more dramatic this time or a little bit more obvious. So I think I'm going to do my increases 3 stitches back from the edge here. And the other choice you have is how you increase. So again, more subtle and kind of again leaning in the direction you've got on this left front here, which is what we're doing. You can do make one right so that the increases are leaning to the right. I might try it where I'm going to have it 3 stitches back from the edge. And I'm going to do make one left so they're leaning away from the direction you're increasing in. Now neither of these are going to be really dramatic. It's just going to be a very subtle difference really. And when you do the other side, it'll be the opposite. For subtle, on the right side you'll be doing make one lefts, and if you want a little more dramatic you'll do make one right. So this is the one I'm going to give a shot at. You can again use any increase method you want, but this is how I'm going to do my make one lefts. I'll knit the first, my cord's longer now. I'm going to knit the first 3 stitches and then I will do my increase here. So for a make one left, you're going to pick up that bar from the front. So come into the front of that and lift that up and knit into the back of it. And that's going to give a very, very slight left lean. See, it's very, very subtle. So it's not going to be terribly dramatic. And those 3 will stay as 3 at the front. If I'm coming from the back, because the first, for my size, I'm going to have 6 like this only on the right side row. Wrong side, I'm just going to purl. Then I'm going to come along and do 6, where on the right side, I'll have it like this. And then on the wrong side, I'm going to purl up to the last 3 here. And I'm going to pick it up the same way, but then I'm going to purl it instead of knit it. So I will show you one of those as I'm going along here. But for now, I'm just going to continue on and work those increases till I come to show you the wrong side increase. I'm just jumping in very quickly here to show you how to do those purl increases. I'm just on the left side here, 3 stitches from the end. And if you want to do that, make one left with the purl, you can go into the front. This is a bit trickier because it's getting tighter. So you go into the front of this here, lift it up, and then you're going to go all the way around the back and purl it through the back loops. So that's how you make one left purlwise. So continue on for the number increases you need for your size and then come back and do the right side. I'm knitting away on the right front of my sweater here now. And I just wanted to go show you how to do a right leaning increase if you haven't done that before. Same as this side, I'm just doing a 3 stitches in from the end. So to do the right leaning increase, I'm going to go wriggle in between the 2 of these here. You see it starts getting a bit tighter when you're doing it in right and wrong side rows, so don't worry about that. That's pretty normal. So you want to come in from behind that bar and then knit into the front of that. and then knit the next 3 stitches. And while I'm here, I'll go show you the make one right purl. Let me make sure I'm saying the correct thing. Okay, so on the wrong side here, I'm going to go purl 3 stitches. Make sure always that you are increasing on the right edge of the work, so that it's the neck you're increasing and not the armhole edge, because that, if you're kind of right in one part, it's really easy to get distracted. So here we're going to do it again from behind. So this is the strand. So sometimes you can pull this up from the front like this, so you can lift it to put it on here, and then you're going to go ahead and purl into the front of that. So that is your make one right purl. So I'm going to work across here, finish the increases, and we'll join the right and left front sides together. It's very exciting. I'm getting ready to join the fronts of the work now. So I've done, this is the back of the neck, these are the fronts of the necks. So it's kind of hard to see when this is twisted over. So that's the left front, this is the right front. I've done all of the increases down along here. And remember that sketch I did showing you how I had like 6 increases every right side row, 6 right and wrong side row, and then that final 12 stitches is going to be cast on across here. So that's what I'm doing now. So I've knit the right front, I'm going to do the cast on, and then I'll knit across here. Generally speaking, because I want a nice firm cast on, I like to do a cable cast on. So you obviously can't just do a cable cast on across here. Like the most usual one, if you want to do it straight across, was something like the Blackwords loop cast on, but that tends to get a bit splayed out, I find. So what I'm going to do instead is cable cast on from the back. So normally when you do a cable cast on, you go in between these 2 stitches, you wrap that yarn, and then you pop that up. Well, I've started doing one more little variation to try and help give a small bit less of a gap here. So I wrap the yarn through, then wrap one more yarn around and lift this one over. Reason for that is just to give a little bit more yarn so it doesn't stretch as much, and then pop that on. So that's the first one. You only do that for the first stitch. So I'm going to do 12 altogether. That's number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, oh careful, snags, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. All right, normally that's where you'd stop. Another little hint here in terms of closing, a bit like a buttonhole, what you can do is pop in here, do one more stitch so that when you turn around, you can use that extra stitch to close it off. So make sure nothing's twisted here. Bring that over here, slide this up here. So that first stitch, you can slip that over and then take that last one that you had done. Now this is a loose yarn here, so pull that over. Then I'm going to move this stitch back over here. So it means that I can snug this up. Where's my yarn? Here. And then you'll go ahead and knit across here. Now, usually to try and keep this up, see the waste yarn I have here? I'm going to weave this in as I go, not the waste yarn, the tail from the other side. I'll just weave that up and down as I go across here. Snuggie it in. So at this point now, you can see that I've joined the 2 sides of the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit the front the same length as the back. Just find where your join is here, where you actually picked up the stitches. Fold there and just check that the front comes down to the back. Once we've reached that point, what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and join the front and the back so we can do the body in the round. But make sure you try on at this stage. Like once you've got this joined across, reach the end of the row, put it over your head, check that you like how far down it goes, if it's the size you want it to be, because this is the time you want to change it if you've got any changes to make. Once this is done, we can come back and we'll get started on looking at the body.